Okay, this video is all about how to do the clawhammer banjo hand movement. Now the key thing about this is everything comes from the wrist. If you're used to playing guitar, you'll be moving your digits independently. Bluegrass banjo is the same, so is bass guitar, lots of other instruments. But with clawhammer, everything comes from the wrist, whether it's the hand, the whole hand coming into the strings to play, or the hand coming back up and releasing the thumb from the fifth string. So here's the best way to get started and understand how it works. Take your hand, ball it up into a fist, then let all the tension go out of it, and this is kind of your basic clawhammer shape. It's just an open hand, might be a little bit of a hollow tube through the middle there. Some people describe that as shaking hands with an invisible broomstick, but this is your clawhammer hand. One of those fingers will protrude slightly because the fingernail's going to catch a string on the way down, but which finger that is will probably sort itself out. Now to do the stroke, put your arm across the banjo, have your palm parallel to the ceiling and lift your wrist up a little way and then drop it down so the thumb goes behind that fifth string. That's taking the whole weight of the hand, okay? Now when the hand comes back up to repeat that movement, it's going to pull the thumb off that fifth string and sound it. So we're not playing the banjo yet, but we're getting used to how the thumb works in the motion of the hand coming up and down. So repeat that movement. Hand comes down, thumb behind that string. When the hand comes back up, it'll just pull the thumb off that string and sound it. Now the count for this is the hand going down is on the on beats, the thumb is on the off beats. So what you'd have is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now just take a few moments to get used to how that feels, with the whole hand coming down on the wrist, the thumb landing behind that fifth string, taking the weight of the hand, and you don't sound that fifth string until the hand comes back up again. What you're not doing is this, you're not hanging the hand on the thumb and then it falls back down into the hand, then you bring it up again. The hand coming back up and the thumb sounding are part of the same motion. So just get used to how that feels. Do the count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now angle your hand in a little bit more towards the strings and do the same thing. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now angle the hand in a bit more, so as the hand comes down, some of the fingers are going to brush against some of the strings and sound them. Doesn't matter which finger, doesn't matter which strings. It's going to look like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now the reason that's important is the thumb is the anchor of this technique. It's the thumb dividing those quarter notes into eighth notes and giving you your off beats that gives the clawhammer banjo its rapid string of notes and its sense of rhythm. Now just look at that hand rhythm again. From the wrist coming in, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now because I'm brushing all the strings, the hand has to move a fair way down them. If I only wanted to play this first string here, it's the same hand movement and it's the same sense of timing with the hand, the fingers and the thumb, but I only need my fingernail, that little bit of fingernail there, to hit that first string. And then again as the hand comes back up, the thumb plays. Don't be tempted to do that, or it's this. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Now what you can do with the two things you've done already, which is the brush and the single note, you can mix them up. So you can go single note, thumb, brush, thumb, single note, thumb, brush, thumb, single note, thumb, brush, thumb. Now that is the basis of all clawhammer. There are other techniques as well that fall into it, but that hand movement coming in is not going to change. Now, some people actually refer to this style of banjo playing as knocking, because it's kind of like knocking on a door. Once you've got that down, you'll probably have to watch, so you have to keep your eye on where that finger's landing on that string, because the first string's easy to hit because there's space underneath it. As you hit these other strings, there's quite a tight gap in there, and it can take a while to get the accuracy up and also the volume, like that first string thumb, plenty and loud. Getting into the second string requires a bit more accuracy. You're going to need some nail for that. But it's the same hand movement. The thumb and hand finger are a little bit closer together. But watch my wrist. It's doing the same thing every time. Don't think that because you're trying to get these inner strings you have to kind of dig them out or something, or sort of pluck them individually. It's from the wrist. And it's the same for any strings you play, so third string, fourth string. Or all the strings, or a pair of strings. So that basic clawhammer hand movement doesn't change. Now what we've been doing with this is one of the most all-important rhythms, which some people call double thumb or constant thumb, because for each time you hit the string with your nail, you follow it with a thumb note. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The other most common rhythm you'll find is what people call the bump ditty. Now that's just a way of using words to describe 1, 2 and, 1, 2 and. So instead of sounding the thumb every time, you just sound it every alternate time. But even though you're not always going to sound that string, it's good to land your thumb there because that's your anchor. So what that would look like is 1, 2 and 3, 4 and, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and, or bump, ditty, bump, ditty, bump, ditty. So get used to landing the thumb on that fifth string and sounding it, or not sounding it. So even though I'm not sounding that thumb to the second time, I'm still landing the thumb on it. I'm not going, because it disrupts the movement of the wrist. Everything is. Now at first that's going to feel like an awful lot of hand movement that isn't always necessary. Like if you're landing the thumb, why move it on and off again if you're not going to sound it? But always doing this is going to give you that constant rhythm that typifies clawhammer. What might happen is as you start playing, you'll decide that if you're not going to sound the thumb on that string, you might not land it there. In which case you might go. And if you can keep a good solid rhythm, that's fine. A lot of players do that. But in these early days where you're trying to get that rhythm down, land that thumb. A great way to bring that bump ditty to life is to play a single note first and then a brush on the ditty. I think the clawhammer banjo technique I use more than anything else is what they call drop thumb. That's when the thumb drops down from strings below the fifth string to play these three here, fourth, third, and second. Now it's not a different technique because the wrist movement is exactly the same, but all you're doing is instead of landing the thumb there, you're landing it on the second string. Now just like getting the finger into those little gaps there, getting the thumb in can be quite tricky, so it's good to kind of learn this early so you don't get into the habit of your thumb always landing there, and then when you try and put it somewhere else, it's a really difficult habit to break. I left it about 12 months before using drop thumb, and it was really inaccurate because it'd been such an ingrained habit, the thumb landing here all the time, it wouldn't go anywhere else. So in these early days, it's good to get it going. Now how you do drop thumb is the same as you would do regular thumb when you're landing on the 5th string. Let's say we want to put it on the 2nd string. It's exactly the same. The hand comes in one movement from the wrist, and it's not till the hand comes back up again that you sound the thumb. And it's good to mix this up with landing on the 5th string, so you go. Very good habit to get into. If you want to drop the thumb on other strings, of course you can. A great exercise for that is to keep frailing, well they call it frailing when you hit it with your finger, on that 1st string, and just land the thumb on a different string each time, then go up the other way. So you have if you can get these habits happening early, it really frees up your playing. So if you want to arpeggiate around a chord, you can do that for cool little drop thumb runs. Freeing it up is really useful. You can drop the thumb anywhere. Another great drop thumb exercise is to always, say you frail the 1st string, drop thumb on the 2nd, then keep that gap between your thumb and finger and work your way down the strings. And that's your basic hand movement. You've got the on one string, on all the strings. Your basic rhythm is, your constant thumb is. And the bump ditty is. Some songs suit constant thumb, some songs suit bump ditty. I like to use a bit of both, so when it's in a fast section of the song, I'll put constant thumb in, just for a little bit of emphasis. And there you go, that's your basic hand movement.